All right, let's talk about dreadlocks. Today, we're going to unravel the sacred, deep history of a hairstyle that, carries thousands of years of meaning in its strands. We're going to look way beyond the stereotypes to understand a story of real power, faith, and resistance.
I mean, think about it for a second. Why is a hairstyle, of all things, the subject of a civil rights law? It seems like a simple question, right? But the answer is, well, it's incredibly complex. The fact that we even have to ask it in the 21st century shows a huge disconnect between how people see this hairstyle and what it actually represents. And to answer it, we're going to have to go on a journey across continents and millennia.
So, before we jump in our time machine, let's start right here, right now. Because the present day is a kind of battleground where hair is a matter of both personal identity and, believe it or not, public policy. And this isn't some abstract debate. This was a real, humiliating moment for a young athlete who was forced to choose between his identity and his sport, right there in public. It's just one of many incidents that has pushed this whole issue of hair discrimination into the national spotlight. This slide really just captures the whole conflict perfectly. On one side, you got these persistent negative stereotypes, words like unprofessional, messy. But on the other side, there's a really powerful pushback. The Crown Act, for instance, is actual legislation designed to stop discrimination based on hair textures and styles like locks. It recognizes that they are deeply tied to a person's race and their cultural identity. So, to truly get why this kind of legal protection is so necessary, we have to look way beyond the last few decades. We need to go back, way back. The stereotypes would have you believe it's a recent trend or that it belongs to just one or two specific groups. But the historical record? Oh, it tells a completely different and way more fascinating story. I mean, just look at the sheer scale of time and geography here. We're not talking about a recent trend, we are talking about at least 5,000 years of history. From ancient Egypt and Nigeria to Ethiopia and India, locked hair shows up again and again and again, totally separate from modern Western culture. And this brings us to the most crucial point. For almost all of its history, this hairstyle was not about fashion. It was, and for so many people it still is, deeply connected to the sacred and the spiritual. So in Hinduism, the jata of the god Shiva is said to represent his immense power. For his followers, wearing matted hair is an act of total devotion, a symbol of giving up the superficial world in favor of a spiritual life. And this idea of hair as a spiritual marker, it is not at all unique to Hinduism. In Yoruba culture in West Africa, a child who is born with naturally locked hair is called a dada. Their hair isn't just a hairstyle, it's seen as a literal divine gift, a sign that this child is special and was spiritually connected even before they were born. And to really get the significance of dada, you have to understand the concept of ori. The Yoruba believe a person's head houses their very destiny. So this makes hair, and the act of caring for it, a sacred duty. It's a way of tending to your own spirit. And this sacred connection, it's a truly global phenomenon. For Ashanti priests in Ghana, it's a mark of power. For Rastafari, a spiritual covenant with God. For the Bayfal in Senegal, a rejection of materialism. For Sangomas in southern Africa, it's a literal antenna to the ancestors. So what we see, woven through all these different cultures, is the same core idea. Locks are a physical manifestation of a spiritual commitment. And, when something holds that much spiritual power, it can also become an incredibly powerful symbol of defiance. And that brings us to its legacy as a tool of resistance. During the absolute horrors of the Middle Passage, the heads of enslaved Africans were often shaved. It was a brutal attempt to just erase their culture. But once their hair grew back, braiding it became a quiet, powerful act of defiance, a way to hold on to their identity and heritage in a world that was designed to strip it all away. And this legacy of resistance just kept going. In the 1950s, Mau Mau freedom fighters in Kenya wore dreadlocks as they fought against British colonial rule. Their hair became a symbol of their anti-colonial struggle, a look that would later go on to inspire the Rastafari movement in Jamaica. This legacy of resistance really came to a head in the 1960s and 70s. During the Black Power movement, embracing natural hair, afros, braids, locks was a conscious, bold rejection of Eurocentric beauty standards. It was a powerful act of reclaiming Black identity and pride, completely on their own terms. So when we put all these pieces together, the modern, the ancient, the spiritual, and the political, we can start to reclaim the true narrative here. So, after this journey through history, through faith and rebellion, can we still ask if it's just hair? I mean, to even ask that question would be to ignore everything we've just seen. It's a spiritual antenna, it's a cultural fingerprint, a political statement, and a living historical archive. It carries the weight of gods and goddesses, the defiance of freedom fighters, and the pride of entire movements. It is anything but just hair. And that brings us to our final and maybe most crucial thought. Understanding this history changes everything. It moves the conversation beyond just looks and into meaning. And it forces us to ask, what does it mean to wear a symbol or to judge one when you don't understand the sacred story it tells?